Yeah, look, we've talked a lot about Arsenal, and I mentioned those statistics. They're pretty damning, aren't they, for Mikel Arteta? I suppose the question now, Trevor, is what do you do if you're Arsenal? Do you continue with Mikel Arteta? You mentioned it there. We heard you in the clip saying you don't like to call for managers to be fired, but you have to ask the question, don't you, after this length of time and with situations repeating themselves more often than not, is he the right guy to take this club forward?
I'm not so sure. I mean, obviously he's had a glowing review from Pep Guardiola when he took the job. He won the FA Cup, and obviously that gave him a little bit of time because parts of last season were very poor as well. But you look at the performances this year, you look at the lack of leadership, I think you look at the recruitment, and Arsenal are not getting stronger, they're not getting better. I think they've got a huge problem with discipline at the football club since Mikel Arteta's been in charge. They've had so many sending-offs. And I just look at the shape of that team, and you look at the spine of that team, and I don't think they'd do well in the Championship with that spine. I really don't. I think it's a weak team. I think, like I said, I know they've got injuries, but you've got to play a system to get your best players in the team and be able to compete. And at the moment, Mikel Arteta's not doing that.
That's a massive call, though, to say that they might struggle in the Championship, Trevor.
I think they would. I think they would. I think you look at Xhaka, he's got a real lack of discipline. I think Odegaard, would you think, oh, I'm playing against Odegaard today, I'm going to have to be on it, I'm going to be chasing him beyond lines, I'm going to have to win the second balls, I'm going to have to be really alert. I think he's a nice football player, but I don't think he's a player where a lot of centre midfielders think, oh my God, I've got to play against him today. What a nightmare. I'm going to have to really put a shift in. I don't look at, he's a nice footballer, and I think you look at a lot of the Arsenal players and they're too nice. They're too nice, and like
been saying that for
when
years,
when you used to play against Arsenal, when you used to play against Manchester United, or when you used to play against the Liverpool sides, which you thought, you know, like everything's got to be spot on. You've got to get your pre-match right. You've got to get your setup right. You've got to get your formation right. You've got to get your game plan right. If anything's off, you are getting absolutely battered. I don't think that about Arsenal. I think you can turn up against Arsenal and put in a 7 out of 10 performance and win games if you're a Premier League side. And that is not the Arsenal that I know.
Just on the game as well, Trev, and, you know, you're right with what you say, but the back three and the defending, I mean, I look at the back three and you go, I know they've not got Ben White, but you go Chambers, Holding and Kolasinac. Like, come on. Like, that is not an Arsenal defence. And I mean, they've spent so much money and it still just doesn't look right. But the pride in their defending was absolutely embarrassing, because they actually started the game okay. They looked like they could cause City some problems. But first chance they get, Chambers gets done back post, 1-0 down, and then the second goal for the set piece was shambolic as well. It's just, there's got to be pride in your performances, and I just don't feel like they've got that at all.
Well, I mean, I was fortunate to be at Anfield with Sam on Saturday, and we seen Chelsea go down to 10 men, and the resilience, the togetherness, the work ethic, the organisation, men being leaders and taking responsibility on the pitch and having a bit of desperation to keep the ball out of the back of the net was all there to see. I mean,
was it also an example of a manager having an influence tactically on a team that have gone down to 10 men and were facing a difficult situation, Trevor?
Well, we said this last night, and we spoke about this in depth, and you just mentioned the first 2 goals, Jamie. The third goal for me was the one because Jack has just been sent off. You've lost one of your centre midfielders who's the spine, who's kind of that shield in front of that back three, and you don't make any changes. And on top of that, you're trying to press Manchester City at home with 10 men. Most Premier League teams can't do